Welcome to Takeology with your three boys in the lab so you can do the cooking. It is a privilege. We are here with our second episode of the season, and we have the very special opportunity here with Matt McDonald. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Excited to be back. That was it was good to have football back, but it was a tough week for me, if I'm being honest. I'm in 5 leagues and I went 1-4. So it's a tough start to the season, but you do have first waiver priority, so that's the one bright spot here.
There's a positive out of that, I guess. 5 leagues, Matt? What are you doing, man?
Yeah, it's borderline too much to handle. Might have to cut that down next year, but
That's
it's
crazy.
it's fun. It's exciting to be back in fantasy.
That's fair. I kept it to 1 league this year. I was like, I'm going to keep it minimal because I get too invested. But here we are. I want to know. We're equal on wins at least. So I feel like that's a win, But one to
Yeah,
one and four is
that's
crazy.
thanks for making me feel better.
All right, we both have one win though, so that's a dub.
Well,
But
that's
week
it. It
one,
kind of it kind of shows how we had some dud performances from big people this past week. I mean,
yeah,
I think people that had the Burrow and Chase stack, like I did in a few places, they're definitely hurting because that was a tough showing.
yeah. Let me. We'll start this way. I was gonna save this for later. Okay, this just shows, just in terms of from receivers, how crazy week one was. I'm gonna give you the top 5 receivers in PPR, and we won't talk about it too much. This just shows you how crazy week one was. All right, our top 5 receivers: Zay Flowers at 1. Didn't expect that. Okay.
No,
Keon Coleman at 2. Doesn't make sense. At 3, Quentin Johnston. At 4, we have Emeka Egbuke. And I hope I said that right. Doesn't even matter. And at 5, Puka Nacua. What are we doing in week one, man? Who are
yeah,
these top 5?
typically the defenses have the upper hand, and you saw that in some of these matchups. There wasn't a ton of, I think only 2 games out of all of them went over on projected points. So it's not going to be great for fantasy when that happens. But just the receivers that led this week in the top 5, you expect Puka. That's pretty expected.
Right.
Ibuka from Tampa Bay, we all had high expectations for. Didn't necessarily think it was going to be a 2 touchdown day. But
Right.
like Quentin Johnston, I think we all have been hurt by him. And I mean, he can't catch a ball. And now the fans in Brazil think he's a top tier receiver because they've never
Yeah.
seen anything else. And of course, it was against my Chiefs, so that was tough. But yeah, it was a weird week for top tier fantasy options. I mean, some just didn't even show up. Like Mark Andrews, he was
Yeah.
non-existent. He didn't even look like he was on the field.
He was blocking most of
Yeah,
the
I
time.
mean, he's a good blocker. Derrick Henry was running all over the place.
My Lord. What a week one, dude. What a week one. Which leads us to our week one, not first of the season, but first, like, I feel like legit lab report of the season. We get to bring you some news that's important that will help in fantasy and just help all of our millions of fans and followers that are listening right now. Number one on the list here. I wanted to start big and heavy. George Kittle on IR. I mean, this 49ers team can't catch a break. I mean, not that I care, to be honest with you, but it kind of sucks. George Kittle's out 4 weeks. I didn't even know, but you just informed me Brock Purdy might be injured. Jawan Jennings is a little banged up. I mean, what's going on here?
They just have the injury bug, man. They're
Yeah,
a very unlucky team when it comes to injuries. Now, part of it's because of Kyle Shanahan's scheme. He's just a
yeah,
really physical. It's a physical team, so injuries are going to happen. But Brock Purdy getting hurt in the first game, as well as George Kittle going on IR, and then
yeah.
Jawan Jennings got banged up a little bit as well, which
Right.
his MRI came back clean, so he might be here for the next game. But if Brock Purdy's missing due to the shoulder injury, I don't think I'd even play. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey would be about it. Maybe Ricky Pearsall. Mac Jones is their backup, and when he was the backup for Jacksonville last year, he peppered Brian Thomas with targets. So that might happen for Ricky, but it's a scary start no matter who you're playing. Even Christian might struggle with a limited offense like they have.
Which I've seen him see on my dynasty, so I was kind of keeping up. A lot of his runs were stuffed just because they knew that's what they were going to try to do, and so it was like, I mean, he had some bigger runs, but it was the passing game where he thrived.
A
because
lot of
there's nobody else catch the ball.
check downs for sure.
Exactly. So that's big news. I believe the backup behind George Kittle, I know there's two, but Jake Tongs caught a touchdown. He got some playing time there, so that could be a name to be looking out for. Just throw that out there. And Mac Jones. My God, Mac Jones, man. Yeah, maybe steer clear from that
Not
guy.
unless you're just down bad. I would not play him.
Exactly. But you never know. Another big thing, Quinshawn Judkins. Man, these names, man, they get crazier. He should be practicing tomorrow, which would mean he has a chance to play this upcoming week. But Dylan Sampson looked good. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. Jake Moody, drop him. Get rid of him. He was waived. Young Ho Koo, literally sold for the Atlanta Falcons. So he's also gone. I know those are kickers, so it doesn't really matter. But the big news here, and I know this is going to hurt your heart, Matt. Xavier Worthy getting injured. What are you going to do? Now, I know they haven't fully given a report yet on how bad it is, but how you feeling about this?
I'm feeling terrible.
Yeah.
I was watching the game with some people, and our first drive was going bad. Just, I mean, it looked like a repeat from last year's offense, which we were all hoping was in the past, which I
Right.
think it will be once we get everybody back. But at the start of this game, it was a bunch of short stuff, and then we had a couple shots to Thornton, who I think we're going to pass the ball downfield to. We can talk about that later in the waiver wire, but the start of the game was just not going well. And then I see Kelsey and Worthy crossing the field, and Worthy's not even looking where he's going, and Travis trucks him and just dislocates his shoulder, which I was hopeful that it wasn't dislocated. It comes out that it was. He got an MRI, and then he went for a second opinion, which is not a very good
Right.
thing to hear, because they're obviously trying to get a different answer than they got the first time. But it looks like from what I've seen, best case he'll miss like 2 to 3 weeks. Worst case, it could be a whole season if he has to get surgery on it. So it really just depends on what tore, if anything, inside his shoulder. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see. If it is 2 to 3 weeks, he'll wear a brace. But the downside to that is the risk for re-injury is really high. So I don't know. I think Hollywood is going to be a good pickup for the next few weeks. And then Chiefs fans like me are just praying for Worthy and Rice to both come back. But I would love to see a trade or a signing. The Eagles just continue to load up, trading for Tank Bigsby, and
Yeah.
we're just sitting still, which it's tough, but I got faith in the team.
If anything, back half of the season, they'll look just fine. They'll have everybody
We'll be
back.
good. We'll be good when we get people back, but these
Yeah.
first 6 games are what's scary, and we're playing good teams.
Yeah, you
We
guys
got
have
the
a hard
Eagles this
schedule.
week. We got the Ravens coming up. It's tough to have this at the front of your schedule.
But if you can persevere, imagine.
If
Possible.
if we win this Eagles game next week, I will come on here talking all kinds of crap. But
Right.
it's going to be a very hard game. They're a very good team.
Justin Herbert, just
Yeah,
him,
Justin Herbert lit us up. So
Man,
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
boy looks like a elite quarterback out there, but it's okay. Brock Bowers, another piece of this lab report. I didn't really look into much of his injury, but I know he was hurt, left most of the game. So just something to keep an eye on. I know he did say a report of it's nothing to be worried about, but you never know. Just something to watch. And then, like you mentioned earlier, take Bigsby to the Philadelphia Eagles. I did see a notification that it wasn't necessarily just because Will Shipley had a rib injury, but they liked how he returned kickoffs and stuff like that. But it also is part of that. But really, what it highlights is Travis Etienne on the Jaguars. He is that guy. And they're all in for him this year. Whereas last year, Tank Bigsby seemed like he was taking the role. So something to keep an eye out on. But that is our lab report for the day. Now we're going to jump in real quick because we want to try to get through all the games, but we'll see what kind of time we got. Just some quick highlight waivers. And Matt, I know you mentioned one earlier, but what are some of your top ones that come to mind?
Yeah, so for receivers, he was drafted in about 60% of leagues. But if Keenan Allen is on your waiver wire, that's like top priority because he was their guy in third down situations. Herbert was targeting them almost every time. And for such an old receiver, we could not cover him. So I think he's going to get peppered with targets. Quentin Johnston had a heck of a game, and he looks to be targeted heavily in the red zone. At least he was week 1. So that's definitely something to watch. He had 8 touchdowns last year, and he's already starting off with 2 at the beginning of this season. So if that's going to be a trend that continues, and if the Chargers are going to pass the ball as much as they did, I think he's going to be a heck of a target. My third one would be Cedric Tillman. That dude,
Yeah.
if he's healthy, if him and Judy are healthy together, they're going to have great games. He had 16 points this week. He had a terrible drop that led to the interception from Flacco, but I mean, he had a good game all in all. So I would definitely pick him up. I think he's going to be a guy that you can just kind of plug and play because Flacco is going to throw 40 times a game. So I think those 3 are going to be big. And then last one, Hollywood Brown. Just with the
Yeah.
injuries the Chief has suffered this year and Rice's suspension, I think Hollywood Brown is just he's gonna see a high volume from a week to week basis. So I mean it'll depend, but likely with how limited we are going to be on offense here coming up, I think he's going to get a lot of. I mean, he had 16 targets this game, so if it's even close to that number, he's going to be a good start on a week to week.
Yeah, 100% agree. Even Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, not as much as Hollywood Brown, but he's out there.
Maybe in a deep league.
Right. Even said Thornton, but that's even a whole different world. But
He's kind of touchdown or bust.
Right. Not somebody you really want to pick up. One of the big names, though, like you said, for the Browns, really 2 guys from the Browns, to be honest with you, that I would say that you could pick up on waivers just to stash to see where they go. Harold Fannin Jr. had a really big game, which I did not expect just because David Njoku, you think he's the guy out there, but he got the most targets compared to the 2.
Yeah,
The
8 targets, right?
9 targets
9
for 63 yards. Yeah, and he even got a carry in there, which was kind of interesting. So that's definitely a guy to be looking out for. Looks like he has the lead right now, and it's like get them while they're hot, especially if you got the priority. Somebody else that a lot of people probably are going to be like, why would you even say this? But Daniel Jones, baby. Listen, I could not believe, number one, yes, the Dolphins defense is cheeks. Like, I truly, and I kind of talked about that our last podcast a little bit. That's why I had him lower in our standings. But Daniel Jones looks really good. And they've got a good set of receivers. They've got a young tight end that played real well. Daniel Jones is a guy that he even had some. He had what 2 rushing touchdowns? Is that right?
Yeah, 2 rushing touchdowns, 272 yards passing. He looked like what the Giants thought they were drafting.
Exactly.
It was an impressive performance.
And then it also helps Jonathan Taylor to have a better longevity in season. Really, to be honest, so he's a guy that you're going to go out there and just stash him. If you don't have a good second option or you don't even have a second quarterback, pick him up. You never know, especially if there's a super flex there where it could be huge value. Just in terms of he is a dual, like he'll run the ball, and he kind of does that well, and so those are valuable in fantasy. And then one other name I wanted to throw out there was Kendrick Booty. I don't know if it's Booty or Booty, but it'd be fun to say either way. But he balled out with the Patriots. And I like Drake May. I know he's going to play well. Figured Stephon Diggs would look good, but he had a ton of targets. Let's see here. I want to give you the right stats. 8 targets, 103 yards. And I know last year, the last game of the season, he had a 100-yard game as well. So he's just continuing where he left off. I know he's a young guy in terms of in the league, but somebody to look out for as well.
Yeah, dude, he was a stud in college. He was at wide receiver U, Ohio State, and he was playing in front of guys like Marvin Harrison. That's the type of talent that they thought he was going to be. And then he had a terrible injury and ended up going in the 6th round to the Patriots. But he came on at the end of last season. So,
Right.
And that was with Drake May, so they already have the chemistry. And for Stephon, it kind of looked like he was just non-existent. I mean, he's old. He's coming off an injury. So I think we kind of expected this to happen, but for Booty, I think he's gonna be a favorite target of May, and they don't have much on that team besides Kyle Williams and then 2 good running backs. But I think I think he's gonna receive 6 to 8 targets a game, which is pretty valuable in fantasy.
Yeah, and this should help in terms of just Patriot receivers, anyways. Drake May threw 46 times in this game. And so if they're playing from behind and they are throwing this thing, you best believe, especially if it's PPR, you best believe you play some of these receivers and Booty, whatever how you say it. He's a dog. So go pick him up, man. Go pick up that booty. You know what I mean? So get out there and get it. But that's our waiver wire ads. I know there's a lot more. There's even deeper ones you can go into. But those are some of the highlights in terms of those waiver wires. Any other waiver wire? Or we're good to go.
It's definitely wide receiver and tight end heavy as far as the waiver wire goes, but just a few running backs. If Judkins is out there, he was drafted in most leagues, but if he's out there, I would at least pick him up just to see a flyer on him. I think he's probably going to get the first and second down carries, but I think Sampson's going to be pretty involved in the passing game. That's where he looked good in week 1, so we'll see there. Maybe a second one would be Tootin. I think with Tank Bigsby leaving, this just opens that number 2 spot for him. I think ETN's definitely going to be the leader in this backfield. But if Tootin gets 8 to 10 carries a game, you don't know. It's the unknown that you want to pick up, and I think he could be a valuable guy that he wasn't drafted in hardly any redraft leagues. So I think he's going to be a good pickup, but it's definitely receiver and tight end heavy. If you're like one priority, I would definitely go receiver or tight end before I go running back.
I definitely agree. Even in terms of having an anchor on a team is always important because of one injury away from being a starter, and they could have that big potential. Who actually, I do want to throw this out there. I'm sure he was drafted, but Jordan Mason. Also,
good.
I don't know in terms of how many rostered wise in terms of redrafts. A lot of people picked up Aaron Jones, obviously, because they've seen him ahead. But Jordan Mason had the lead in rushing attempts, and even in the passing game too. He just didn't have the touchdown, so it didn't look as good. But Jordan Mason's a guy to go out there and look for if he's out there in leagues. He should be picked up. I mean, as a good anchor in late rounds for redraft. But just wanted to throw that out there as well. So,
I like it.
All right, week 1. I'm going to start with the best game of the week. Chiefs versus Chargers. Chargers beat the Chiefs 27-21. Matt, I know you don't want to talk about this much, but Isaiah Pacheco did not look good. But I did want to highlight, this is the biggest thing I think to highlight in terms of the Chiefs side. Patrick Mahomes looked pretty solid in terms of fantasy relevancy compared to past years. Just in the last 2 years, he wasn't very fantasy relevant. I think the big part of that is that boy was running. Patrick Mahomes was running.
He had to. We've only seen Patrick run this much in huge games like the Super Bowl or the playoffs, but I think with how limited we are at receiver right now, you're going to see Patrick run a lot more than he's typically used. I mean, he outrushed our running backs by quite a bit. He had 57 rushing yards. Isaiah Pacheco, the next closest, only had 25. Him and Kareem both had 5 carries apiece. I think a lot of it was due to the game script. We were kind of down from the start. Our offense it struggled at the beginning for sure, but I think a lot of that is because we built our whole game plan around having Worthy in this offense. So after we came back out from half, we scored on every possession. I saw a stat that there was like 224 yards that we could have gained, and we gained 214. So this offense looked good in the second half once they kind of switched our game plan up, and it involved Hollywood a lot more. We had a good play to Kelsey, which was nice to see. So all in all, losing your best receiver on this team, the offense looked pretty good in the second half. But as you were talking about Patrick Mahomes, he looked great. And I think a lot of it's probably due to all the hate he's received the past 2 years. People think he's washed. The dude's fantastic. We just haven't had the receivers around him. So with even less receivers, I think you're going to see him involving himself in the running game a lot more, which is going to lead to fantasy success.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, I would rather him move out of the pocket because he does so well doing that. And so, I mean, he can do either. He's great. But when he moves around, it opens up the field, and he just finds ways to find guys. And Travis Kelce also does so well at finding open spots. So I'm excited to see what Patrick Mahomes does in terms of fantasy this year because he has the potential. Obviously, he's a great quarterback, but he has the potential to be like a top guy, top five guy in terms of fantasy production. So yeah. On the Chargers side, the running game wasn't really there. I mean, they got the carries. Omari Hampton kind of was to me was a I know it was a hard defense in terms of the front line, but I expected a lot more from the guy. With 15 carries, you'd expect a ton out of that. Um, but the receivers, man, I did not see this coming at all. Obviously, Lat McConkey, you expect him to get his. He was 9 targets, 6 catches. But like we said earlier, Quentin Johnson and Keenan Allen, man, were we wrong?
Is tough to see. It really was.
Yeah,
I think a lot of it was due to the Chiefs. Our whole game plan on defense, I'm sure, was to stop the run. Which I mean, like you said, we were the number one run defense last year, so it's a very hard matchup for a rookie running back, even as good as Hampton is. That's a tough place for him to come in and play. I mean, he got 15 carries, which is nice to see. He's definitely going to be the lead back in this offense. I think once Najee gets a little healthier and is back in full, he might get a couple goal line carries just because of how good he is at those. But Hampton's definitely going to be the lead guy, and I wouldn't worry about this at all. It's just is a tough matchup. Plus, they were killing us in the passing game, so I'm sure they were just rolling with it. But if they allow Herbert to throw as much as he did this game, which is kind of the opposite of what John Harbaugh likes to do, I think Herbert's going to be a steal in fantasy this year because he looked amazing. He's always had the talent. He just hasn't had the coaches that allow him to just let it loose. But like you said, these three receivers, I think they're going to be very valuable. Lad McConkey's obviously their one, but Johnston looks to be the red zone guy, which is going to be great for fantasy. And you can pick him up off the waiver wires for basically nothing. And
yeah,
then Keenan Allen's the same way. He's just their get past the sticks guy, and he's very good at it. So I think these three receivers are going to have very good gains for fantasy this year.
yeah. I like Justin Herbert a lot, and I like to see that he's being used kind of like he should be. I mean, he's had the opportunities. Don't get me wrong in terms of, but I think this year will be a good year for him. Just in terms of you got a good vet that still is producing apparently, which I did not expect from Keenan Allen, but it's there. All right, Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles.
They almost had it. They almost had it.
Good old Cowboys. Jalen Carter. We'll talk about that another day, I guess. You expect Jalen Hurts to do what he does. Saquon Barkley, you expect that. I think the biggest thing that is like a letdown, right? And we'll get to the Dallas running backs here in a second. What the heck, AJ Brown? I mean, everybody who drafted this guy has to be livid. What was it? It's one target. How do you target your top receiver one time? That's crazy. What do you think? I mean, what's going through? Even they didn't pass much. I understand that in terms of
Yeah,
like to their, but
I don't think it was necessarily AJ's fault. He was running good routes. I was watching him all game. He didn't look like he was limited in any fashion, which we thought he might have a hamstring issue, but
yeah,
he looked fine. It wasn't that at all. I think Jalen Hurts was just kind of taking what was given to him. His average depth of target was only 6.6 yards. So I think he was just kind of taking the guy in front of him, which was get Dallas Goddard most of the time. Which I mean, everybody in fantasy hated to see that because they have Devontae Smith on the team, AJ Brown, and we're passing it to Goddard. And I
yeah,
also played against Goddard, so it made me even more mad because I was expecting nothing out of him. But I think this will just be a game to game thing. They were having great success with these short passes to Goddard, and they were also having success running the ball, as well as these short passes to Saquon, which was good to see because he doesn't catch a ton of balls. He did have a bad drop on one, but then made up for it with a one-handed catch. So Saquon's what we expect. He's going to be a dog. Shipley looked good when he was in the game, which was great to see. And then he just disappeared. They didn't really report on it. I guess he had a rib injury. And like you were talking about earlier, it seems like the Tank Bigsby signing wasn't necessarily because of the Shipley injury. It was because they liked what they saw on the punt returns, which is I thought it was kind of weird. Um, Especially trading a fifth and sixth round pick for, which
yeah,
you trade good players all the time, and it seems like they get pennies on the dollar. But a fifth and a sixth for Tank is pretty impressive for the Jags. But regardless, I think Shipley might come back and fulfill the same role he was playing. They trust him a lot, and he's good in the passing game. But I think these receivers will bounce back. The Chiefs secondary looked terrible last week, so if there's a game to do it, it's definitely this one coming up.
But hopefully that is not the case as a Chiefs fan, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah,
You want the
hopefully. I'm trying to be positive. We've got a lot of young guys in the back end of our defense, so hopefully they get a little better as the season goes on.
I'm sure they will. I hope they do. On the Dallas side here, I wanted to point this out because everybody wants to highlight, I think, if you look at this as Javonte Williams' breakout game. But really, I think it's due to the goal line touches. If you look at Miles Sanders, he only had 4 carries for 53 yards. Way more efficient in terms of like breaking out. And obviously, Javonte Williams is a lead guy. But 15 carries for 54 yards is atrocious. I mean, he got the goal line touches, which is what you want. So he's a guy you want to play, especially if it's like a defense they can pass on and get close to the end zone. But you got to be happy as a CD Lamb owner seeing 13 targets. I mean, he's going to get peppered. He's the guy out there. George Pickens, sadly, as a Georgia fan, didn't like seeing him not do much, but he was just kind of out there. How do you feel about this Dallas offense?
I feel pretty good about it. I think their defense, it looked okay this game, which surprised me actually. I wasn't expecting that. But I think that might be due to the delay they had because of lightning. I think Philly was kind of lighting them up, and then this delay just kind of set both offenses back. I mean, you sit for an hour in the locker room. It's not going to be great when you come back. But in all reality, they should be behind most games, so they should be passing a lot, which looks great for Pickens. Looks great for CD Lamb. CD, those drops he had were, I mean, the one where he laid out, that's understandable. I mean, you want the guy to make the catch, but that's a very tough catch. The other ones, I was so surprised that he was dropping. Um, but put that aside, both should be okay for the next coming games. Javante, I mean, he led the backfield, so that's a positive sign. Only averaged 3.6 carries, but I mean 3.6 yards per carry. But this Phillies defense is good against the run, even though they were without Jalen Carter, which that was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And I also saw today that he's not getting a suspension because they just assumed this week 1 game is the suspension, which I hate to see because we're about to play Philly, so I was hoping he'd be out. But anyways, I think this Dallas offense is going to be one that you should target in fantasy just because they're going to be behind in most games.
And Dak still's got some juice in him. I mean, he's a good quarterback.
He looked good. Dak,
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't throw a touchdown, but he looked great.
He did. 188 yards. I mean, it's a good defense. So that's kind of part of it too. And like you said, the delay does affect you for sure, although it did help them some. But Javonte Williams owners, you started him and you feel like, wow, you just hit the lottery. But I'm sure he'll do great on goal line touches. Another game here we'll cover that I'm kind of like didn't expect this game. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Number one, Baker Mayfield is going to cook. It's just you got to believe in the guy now.
Dude's a dog.
You got to, especially you, Matt. I know you've been a Baker Mayfield hater in the past, but this man threw for 3 touchdowns. I mean, the yardage wasn't that great in terms of 167, but even in the receiver world here, Emeka Egbuka, my goodness, dude, 2 touchdowns. Obviously, Mike Evans is your leading target share here, but one of the letdowns, Cade Otton. I think after last year, the guy, I mean, he had a huge season in terms of being a tight end. And then to first game, when they're passing heavy, Cade Otton does nothing. How do you think? I did want to ask you, Chris Godwin obviously wasn't in this game. If he's out there, does that hurt or help these guys?
I think it helps the offense in general. As far as the other guys go, I'm not sure because I don't know how Ibuka and Godwin are going to play once Godwin comes back. I don't know who will be in the slot or which one of them will be on the outside, but I thought a big thing this game was I didn't think Mike Evans looked that good, which I wouldn't expect. He's hitting the age cliff. I think he's going to hit the age cliff every year, and then he never does. He always gets 1,000 yards. But Ibuka looked really good. He only had 6 targets, was a bit of a letdown for me because I thought Godwin being out, he would have more than that. But the 2 touchdowns, he looked great downfield, so that was really positive. And
Yeah.
like you said, Baker's just going to throw for touchdowns. He might be a little inconsistent here and there, throw a couple picks, but he targets that red zone as like no other. He's a stud. I
Love him.
think it was good to see that we saw that this is basically Bucky Irving's backfield. I don't think
Mhm.
he's going to have much competition there. Rashad White in the passing game will get mixed in a little bit, but he only had 2 carries this game. So I think it's good to see that Bucky is going to be the main ball carrier there. I think that's definitely going to give people some peace of mind that took Bucky.
Yeah, Bucky's the one, man. B. John Robinson, which I didn't expect. I mean, this is kind of an interesting piece of this. He didn't run well,
He looked
but
terrible.
man, yeah. But talk about in terms of fantasy production, the passing game was his friend. A big highlight of at least this game for the Falcons. It was great to see Michael Penix look good. First game of the season, looked comfortable, threw the ball well. Which, if you drafted Kyle Pitts in that 10th round, in that last little bit there of your season, you're excited because really, I mean, I know 8 targets, only 7 catches for 59 yards. That's good though for Kyle Pitts. That's huge. This guy's been bunts every year since you draft him in like the second, third round, and now
Huge
you're getting him
letdown.
in a late round. But here he is. Michael Penix is going to target him. Another piece of this: Drake London, 15 targets. You got to be. I know the Darnell Mooney owners are not very probably excited about this, which he didn't play in this game. But Drake London, man, 15 targets. How do you feel about this Falcons offense? Just looking from top to bottom here.
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be decent. Penix threw for 42 times, so that's great for us in fantasy. The only thing is, I'm excited about Kyle Pitts as well. It was good to see him have this production. We've been waiting on it the past 3 years. The only thing is, with Darnell Mooney coming back, I don't know how that might shift the targets a little bit on this team. But just to mention it. Drake London did have an AC joint injury this game.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible he misses next week. It's probably likely he misses next week. So that's something that I meant to mention on the waiver wire. If Drake London is out this upcoming game, Darnell Mooney, if he plays, I think is a smash play that you have to put in your lineup.
Oh,
He was great last year, and if he's the only target besides Kyle Pitts on this team, I think it's going to be great. And that'll only elevate Bijan in the passing game as well. He was definitely helped out by the long touchdown he caught, but he looked great in the passing game. Running game, he looked terrible. Two
yeah,
2 yards per carry. The Bucks aren't really a defense that you are scared of, so I
yeah,
was very surprised by that. But I think he'll kind of pick it up as the season goes. But it was definitely a positive seeing this Falcons offense.
yeah. I like the Falcons. As I mean, I know I'm a Georgia fan, but kind of ties together. Hope they do well. I want to see a Kyle Pitts resurgence season there. We'll see though. All right, next game, Bengals Browns. Not much to talk about here, to be real with you. More
A terrible game.
more of a letdown than it is an encouragement. Chase Brown, 21 carries. He's your lead back. I mean, that was no question, anyways. But he'll get more yardage in the future. Dylan Sampson was probably the biggest highlight. Him and Cedric Tillman, biggest 2 highlights of this game in terms of fantasy production. You don't even want to talk about Jamar Chase. I don't. You know what I mean? This guy was picked first in a lot of redrafts, and this guy gave you 4.6 fantasy points in PPR. But again, a big piece of this, Harold Fannin Jr., great game. But I'm sure with Quinshawn Judkins coming back, that will look different for Dylan Sampson. But as of right now, he's leading the carries. He's the guy. So, what are you thinking about this game overall? I mean, I know you're a little hurt, but still.
Dude, I thought this was possibly the season that the Bengals let go of their week 1 woes. They got beat by the Patriots last year. None of us were expecting that. We kind of thought that they would just come in here and smash the Browns, which we know the Browns have a good defense, so that's part of it. But their offense shouldn't have been as close as it was. I mean, the Browns had every opportunity to win. They had a missed field goal at the end. They had 2 tip passes that he honestly threw good balls, and the receivers just popped them up. So I I don't know. The Bengals deserved to lose this game, which I think a lot of teams did this week, like the Broncos. They played terrible,
Yeah.
but just beside, I hope it improves because this was a ugly game. Joe Burrow had 113 yards. They had 7 yards in the second half as a team. As a team, it is just a
What do you do?
Chase, yeah, Chase Brown. I was excited for him all season. I think he's going to be great. But 2 yards per carry on 21 attempts, that's
That's
not
awful.
usable. Yeah, it's not usable. He's good in the passing game, which is good to see. That's where he got his touchdown this game. But I don't know. I was kind of disappointed in the Bengals offense. As far as the Browns go, Flacco, he threw the ball a ton, which we expected, 45
45
attempts.
times.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to chuck the ball when he's at quarterback. He honestly played a pretty good game. Like I was talking about those 2 tip interceptions, I really wouldn't put on him. It was a good touch. It was a good passes. Judy with 8 targets. I expect him to be good as long as Flacco's in the game. Like you were talking about, Dylan Sampson had 8 targets, which
Yeah.
is, I mean, that if he wasn't effective on the ground, which I was a little surprised by because the Bengals defense is not very good. But if he's like this in the passing game, it's kind of A-Chan ish. And if he can put up numbers like this every game, I think in PPR especially, he's going to be a great play. Um, you were talking about Harold Fannin and Cedric Tillman. I think
Yeah.
they're both going to be Cedric Tillman's for sure a good weekly start. If Harold Fannin is going to be the lead target tight end in this offense, you have to play him because Flacco's
Yeah.
going to throw it 40 plus times a game.
And he
It,
loves
it
tight ends.
yeah, he loves. I mean, I expected it to be Njoku coming into the season, and I drafted him in a couple places, so it's disappointing to see on that front. I mean, he's still got 6 targets. They play a lot of 12-man personnel, so they're both going to be on the field at the same time. So it might switch from side to side per game. But Harold Fannin, 8 targets. That's great to see. I would pick him up immediately if you're struggling at the tight end position.
Yeah,
And like
especially
we
with
were
George
talking.
Kittle.
Yeah, George Kittle especially. Brock Bowers, I know he said he's fine, but a knee injury, it's a little scary, especially week 1. So um, I would for sure look to pick him up. I see that.
Man,
we already we talked about it. Okay, I wasn't happy about it, but it is what it
Patrick
is.
Mahomes, man.
Justin Herbert looked great.
Just a dog. Really.
What?
Is what it is.
Yeah, our defense was not it. I don't know. I mean, I know we lost Justin Reed, our safety, so we're playing a second-year safety in Jaden Hicks, which hopefully he can improve. But the defense just looked out of sorts that game. They were messing up their assignments. It was a bad showing for the Chiefs defense, which hopefully, and not to mention we got no pressure on Herbert. Losing their left tackle Slater for the season, I was expecting us to come in there and tee off, and we got no pressure at all. So it was
He's slaying
pretty.
that thing.
It was pretty sad to see.
Lab
But
McConkey,
but
baby.
thank you for your comment.
Yeah. Appreciate the comment. Love the
Did
love
you
for Justin
did you
Herbert.
see the other comment that Purdy's out for the season? I checked on X and I didn't see anything about that.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know how official that was. And it would be big news, honestly.
My
That'd be.
eyes kind of popped open when I saw it, but I don't see anything on it.
I mean, Mac Jones. I believe in the man. I don't know.
No, you don't. Shut up.
No, dude, it's hard to say, but I mean, at least in terms of like he'll throw it to one guy at least, and that's Ricky Pearsall. Until Ayuk comes back, which maybe still then, who knows?
The only
But
thing I'm seeing on it is that he's questionable for the next game. So I don't know. I'll have to see if I'm missing something, but as of now, I don't see anything.
we'll see where that comes in terms of what the report is. But another talking about quarterbacks, great segue here. Justin Herbert, he played good, cool. Patrick Mahomes was all right, but Daniel Jones might be the highlight of this entire week. I don't know. Nobody expected this. Giants fans are probably fuming because Russell Wilson was dog water. Okay. But Daniel Jones popped off. They're done with Anthony Richardson at this point. If they've seen, I mean, just from this play, 22 for 29, 272 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, a touchdown in the air. This dude balled out. Which brings me to, I wanted to share this because I'm so excited about this in terms of my dynasty team. Michael Pittman Jr., this might be his year or his year again. right? Last year, you were kind of expecting a lot, but man, this guy 6 for 8, 80 yards and a touchdown. If Daniel Jones week to week can slang this thing like he did, Michael Pittman is the guy. And obviously, I know Tyler Warren looked great. To see a rookie tight end go out there and have this kind of production, kind of what you expected him to play well. But this is nothing but positive for me. I mean, we don't even have to talk about the Dolphins because they suck. But man, the Colts, come on.
It, I mean, we talked about it last podcast. We were both kind of low on the Dolphins.
Yeah.
I think you had them 3 in the division. I had them 4. It looks like we're going to be correct. I don't know. Tua just if his first read wasn't open, he just panics. I mean, the interceptions were terrible. Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, we pray for you because, man.
That hurts my heart as a Chiefs fan. And then I know a lot of people were hurt with the Worthy injury, but stay on top.
I actually benefited just in terms of I was playing against a guy who had Worthy. So
Yeah, you're preying on our downfall constantly.
Anyway,
Anyway,
yes.
Yeah, Tua he didn't look comfortable, which I know he has a terrible offensive line. So it's not really unexpected, but I was very disappointed in that performance from him. It basically eliminated Waddle and Hill from the game, which is it's not good for us fantasy guys that have both of them on our team. But Achan, he had an okay game just based on garbage time. He ended up getting a few receptions. He didn't look that good either, in my opinion, but he got that late touchdown. The Colts, though, Tyler Warren looked great, which I was kind of expecting. I think you were too. He's a very talented rookie tight end. He led this offense in targets with 9. And if Daniel Jones plays even comparable to this from a game to game, I think Tyler Warren's going to be a great pick. And this is 2 years in a row that we've let this happen. We just end up letting these young tight ends fall in the draft, just like we did with Brock Bowers. And then they end up being league winners just because of how valuable they are because you got them with a 9th-round pick. So I wanted to draft him, but I just saw players that I liked a little bit more. But I'm not bitter about it.
Same thing with Sam Laporta too, though.
Yeah, same thing. I think we used to think young tight ends weren't going to do anything their first couple years in the league. It's kind of the opposite now. If they're highly talented, like these few guys that have came in these couple years, even Harold Fannin this year, I don't think we expected him to do it, and he already is. So I think young tight ends are definitely something that's on the come up as far as their rookie year. But like you were talking about with Pittman, he looked great. I think he's going to be very dependent on Daniel Jones' play if he can throw accurate balls downfield. I think Warren will be okay just because it's usually short yardage targets, and he's very good after the catch. So I think Warren will be fine regardless. But if Daniel Jones can keep up this level of play, I think Pittman's going to be a great play. And you got him very late in drafts, so that's going to be great. Josh Downs was the only disappointing guy in this game. 3 targets for only 2 catches. I think he was a guy late in drafts that we were targeting as kind of a guy that we expected to come back from the injury he had last year and play really well. And he didn't look great. Now they might be rolling him in slowly because of the injury, but based off this first week performance, he did not look great.
Yeah, Josh Downs is a guy you'd expect to be the next one up, but with Tyler Warren and Michael Pittman, it's going to be hard to have some share of targets out there.
Last year we kind of thought Josh Downs took Pittman's place.
Right.
And now it doesn't look like that.
I think that's a big piece to Anthony Richardson. Because he was I'm only going to throw the ball towards the end zone, and that's it. That it was a matter of like the guys that could beat out, like Alec Pierce and Josh Downs were those guys. But if Daniel Jones can throw like he did this weekend, Michael Pittman and Tyler Warren are some high-value fantasy players for sure. Don't even want to talk about the Dolphins just because it's just cheeks, man. Tyreek Hill. If Tua can't get the ball out, they're not going to be able to do anything. Mike. Oh, my goodness. Mike. Who's the head coach? Mike.
Oh.
Keep wanting to say McDonald because I know that's your last name. Mike McDaniels.
No. Oh, of the Dolphins, yeah.
Yeah,
he's on the hot seat. He's on his way out. There's no way.
Out.
After this first game he could be fired mid-season. I would not be surprised about that at all.
They probably blow it up just because it's like, how can you continue
Which
with
don't get me wrong, I've seen a lot of reports out that the Chiefs might target Hill because
dude?
the Dolphins are kind of blowing it up. If that was the case,
They said this
I
last
would.
year. I feel like,
Yeah, you see it every year. But if it actually happens, that would be electric. I mean, imagine when Worthy is back, Rice is back, and then you add Tyreek to the mix.
nah,
Uh, that's an
there's no
automatic
way.
Super Bowl.
I don't know about that now. I don't know. The
Uh,
way
that,
Justin Herbert cooked, I don't know, dude. Well, I know we're running low on time, so we'll kind of jump these a little bit quicker. What I'll do is I'll kind of give you some guys if they exceeded your expectations in some of these games. Uh, we know Travis Etienne. All right, I want to throw that out there because that's kind of the next game up. The man had 16 carries, 143 yards, 3 for 3 receptions, 13 yards. We were not expecting this. No, nobody was. I mean, especially me.
he looked
But
washed.
143 yards. Yeah, they're going to get rid of Tank Bigsby. They've got their guy now. They don't care who's behind him, dude.
Well,
What
slow.
is this?
Hey, slow down. One game, one game.
No, I know, but 143 yards on 16 carries is crazy, and obviously it's the Panthers. Like you do have to pump the brakes. I understand. But Bryce Young, buns looked terrible in this game. Trevor Lawrence didn't really look that great either. But something that was kind of, I mean, I don't know how you want to look at this. 6 for 8, 33 yards. That's not good for Travis Hunter. I mean, it's just, I hope this changes. He had the target share, but boy, could this guy not get the yards. So that was kind of a letdown. But Chuba Hubbard, Matt, talk to me about Chuba Hubbard, man.
I think he's a very good player. The only downside is the team he's on.
Yeah,
I think he's going to struggle just because this offense struggles. But I mean, they had a bad game this game on offense, and he still had a very productive game. So I think he'll be okay. I think he's definitely a running back 2 this year, and I think you'll be happy drafting him.
Hmm.
But for the Tetaroa managers, which I'm one of them. I was disappointed to see Bryce Young's play. I was hoping he would continue his success from last year, and he didn't this game against a not very good Jacksonville defense, which it was disappointing. But McMillan still got 9 targets. He caught 5 of them, so I think he'll be okay just based on volume, kind of like how Adam Thielen was. I think Tetaroa is kind of the new Adam in this offense. But going to the Jaguars side, I was kind of with you. It was good to see that Travis Hunter got the amount of targets he did with 8, but he just didn't really turn them into anything, which he was so good with the yak yards in college. He
Right.
caught the ball and he was just electric with it. So hopefully that will kind of develop as the season goes on. But like you said, Trevor Lawrence just didn't look great. And we were kind of hoping he would kind of revitalize himself with Liam Cohen running the offense now. But I don't know. It's one game, so I don't want to overreact. But against the
Right.
Panthers, you would expect Lawrence to look a lot better than he did. The the only other thing I'll highlight, you already talked about ETN. Yeah, I think he's going to be good the rest of the season. He had 60% of the snap share, which was great to see because he's obviously going to get the lion's share of carries in this offense, especially now with Tank Bigsby leaving. But the only other thing I wanted to highlight was Brian Thomas. He
Yeah. Terrible.
he had 7 targets, but it was only for 1 catch for 11 yards.
Terrible.
So if Lawrence and him aren't going to develop the connection, and it's bad to say, but most of his success last year came with Mac Jones throwing him the ball, which I don't think that's necessarily because Mac's better, but he just hyper targeted him. It was like
Yeah.
15 targets a game, which could happen with Ricky Pearsall and the Niners if Brock's hurt. But I you just hope to see that Lawrence and Thomas get the connection that him and Mac Jones had. But he did get 1 carry, which resulted in a touchdown. So if they're going to use him in the rushing game as well, I think Brian Thomas will be fine. I don't think you should worry about it. But it was just something to watch because I don't think any of us were expecting him to come out of this game with only 1 catch. I mean, I definitely wasn't. So I think that's something we need to just keep our eye on.
Yeah. I mean, the targets were there. Don't get me wrong, and there was somewhat of a fantasy value just from one touchdown, but it was off a carry. So
Yeah.
it's like, man, what if you can't catch it through the air? I mean, what are we doing here? wanted to jump to this next game: Oakland Raiders uh, and the Patriots.
Geno Smith.
It's not. Wait, it's not. I said Oakland. My lord, Las Vegas Raiders. Now let me tell
They
you.
know what you mean. They know what you mean.
Shows my age a little bit, I guess. I don't know. Ashton Genty, bro. Honestly, let down. I'm gonna be real. To me, let down. I think. But there is a highlight to me as well. Geno Smith threw the ball pretty well. Brock Bowers got his, which is nice to see, and you kind of expect that. But for me, as somebody who has Jacoby Myers, that was huge. 10 targets. I mean, Brock Bowers was on the field most of the game. And so, like, it wasn't just because Brock Bowers was out. He was getting targets the whole game. So, 10 targets, 8 catches for 97 yards. The man had 17.7 fantasy points in PPR with no touchdown. That's a highlight. That's somebody we're like, man, this guy you got in value on fantasy, and he could be if he keeps this pace up, a top receiver that you play weekly. How do you feel about Jacoby Myers in that?
I agree with you. He's definitely the one on this team. They have a couple young rookies behind him with Thornton Jr., who I think could be a waiver wire pickup. Just keep your eye on him. I think they're going to use him downfield a lot, and Geno loves to chuck it. Jack Besh is also on this team. He only had one catch, but I think it was for 25 yards, 23
23.
yards. Yeah, so coming into the season, we thought Jack Besh was going to be the two. Ends up being Thornton, but you could obviously see Jack Besh kind of move his way up. So watch both of those guys. Brock Bowers, he's what we expect. He's going to be a top 3 tight end this year. Watch his knee injury, like you talked about, but he said he was fine, so it looks like he'll be okay for next week. Geno Smith, though, man, throwing for that amount of yards, 362. Yeah,
against a decent Patriots defense too. Like it wasn't like he played a bad defense.
Yeah, and they've got the new head coach over there. He's a defensive guy, so you expected them to kind of have a pretty talented defense, which it wasn't bad. The Raiders only scored 20 points, but I don't think any of us expected Geno Smith to come and throw for 360 against them.
No.
So I think it's definitely an improvement on the quarterback play from last year. I think we all expected that. So I think some of the receivers in this offense might be more valuable than we initially thought. And then on the Patriots side, Drake May, he had some great throws. He had some really bad throws, but he threw for 46 times. So if he's going to throw that amount, Kayshon Boutte, like we talked about, he's going to be valuable. Stephon Diggs had 7 targets. He didn't look great, but if he's getting that amount of targets on a weekly basis, he's at least playable. And then Hunter Henry did his week 1 thing as he always does. I think he's a streaming tight end, old Arkansas guy. You got to support him. But I think at most he's going to be a streaming option. It does look like Trayvon Henderson. I don't know. It's a split backfield for sure. Neither one of them played great this game, but Trayvon's definitely way more involved in the passing game. He had 6 targets and he completed all of them. He had 6 catches. So I think Trayvon, he was slightly disappointing against the Raiders defense that's not great. But I think it's something positive that you can build on. I think he played okay for his first game.
Yeah, and they were kind of behind, so that the script is going to be more passing game, which Travion Henderson definitely was the check down guy in terms of like compared to Ramondre Stevenson, which I mean you kind of expect that. But truly, Genty, to me, I was expecting so much more in terms of running down the field. Obviously, if they get close to the goal line, it's kind of like a Javonte Williams, but better. Obviously, he's going to get in the end zone. So,
I think he'll be okay. He's gonna get the volume that he'll be. He had a decent game. I think he had 12 points. So it's not anything that it didn't kill you by any means. But we are definitely expecting a little bit more. I would assume that he will definitely have better yards per carry as we go on in the season.
He better, somebody draft him that high, man.
Yeah, he better be in a
figure it
first or second round pick. Yeah, he should.
All right, there's a few games we don't even have to touch on. I mean, the Cardinals and Saints. Alvin Kamara did his. Spencer Rattler didn't look good, so you hate to see that for your receivers. But I think the Cardinals will have a good season this year. Kind of excited to see that. Trey McBride played well. Marvin Harrison got a touchdown. So those were some big highlights there compared to last year.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I have one thing on
Go
this
for
game. I was very surprised with Juwan Johnson this game.
Mm-hmm.
He ran a route on 90% of the plays he was in. 11 targets this game.
That is crazy.
And if you're struggling at tight end, I know it's not a great offense, but getting 11 targets, he caught 8 of them for 76 yards, and that likely, if he's getting that amount of targets, will lead to a touchdown here and there. So I think Jawan Johnson could be a guy if you're struggling that you could pick up as a backup tight end if you want to wait one more week, or I think you could possibly start him depending on who
Yeah.
you got out there.
And talk about James Conner at least producing fantasy points again when you don't expect it. At least I don't. That was kind of, I mean, it was a touchdown, but still, it was there. But yeah, Jawan Johnson, 11 targets. I mean, Chris Olave did get 13 as well. So, I mean, if they can get the ball and play well, Spencer Rattler can do it. There's some guys to play.
Chris is just one hit away. There was a hit this game. He got hit pretty hard, and he laid down on the ground for probably 5 seconds. You know, everybody was just holding their breath, thinking he had
They're
another
sitting there.
concussion. Yeah, he's just such a scary player to have.
He is, but it's like it's those names that you know could this could be the year, but they just continue to hurt you like a Kyle Pitts. But who knows? All right, Steelers Jets. I know if Avery Roden was here, he would be on. Well, I don't know if he'd be super excited, but they got a dub, so that's a win. But Aaron Rodgers, dude. I mean, he played. It's not. He looked like Aaron Rodgers at least, I guess. I don't really know. 4 touchdowns is kind of crazy though. Didn't expect that.
I don't think any of us were expecting 4 touchdowns.
No. If he's throwing the ball like this, Calvin Austin also is a guy on the waiver to go out there and get. I know we didn't mention him earlier, which I mean, people probably picked him up maybe, but also probably not, just because in terms of you don't know what to expect. Jalen Warren, he's going to be the lead guy back there. Caleb Johnson, he's a rookie. He didn't do much. Kenneth Gainwell looked like he was above him. I assume that changes later in the season where Caleb Johnson bumps up, but you never know.
One carry. That I
Yeah.
mean, I know Kenneth Gainwell is a good backup. He's with the Eagles forever, but one carry that I don't think any of us were expecting it to be that low. So
Yeah.
I heard a couple of reports that Aaron Rodgers doesn't necessarily trust him in pass protection. So if he can possibly gain that trust with Aaron, I think he will get a lot more snaps. But it
Yeah.
was definitely a disappointing start for sure.
Yeah, especially in Dynasty, if you drafted this guy hoping for kind of like a hidden gem there. Not a hidden gem, because you knew he was going to be decent, but just in terms of in the draft. Braylon Allen, still kind of like, I mean, I know he only had 6 carries, but another guy that's an anchor that if Brees Hall goes down, Braylon Allen actually is a good running back. And he will produce at some point. But Justin Fields didn't play bad either. I was
No,
kind of,
he's definitely a guy you look at on waivers. Even in one quarterback leagues, I think just because of his rushing ability, he's going to offer a huge upside on a week to week basis. Now, he's never looked this good in the passing game, so I wouldn't expect it week to week. But running game wise, he's as good as he ever has been. So I think he's definitely a guy. If you're struggling at QB, pick him up and just automatically play him. But you brought up the running backs. I don't think any of us expected it to be Brees Hall dominated. He
hmm,
19 carries and he looked great.
he did.
I think we were all down on him from last year, which I mean we had a reason to be. But oh my gosh, he looked like the old Brees. He's still involved in the passing game. Had 2 catches for 38 yards. He did have 4 targets, and then 107 yards rushing, averaging 5.6 per carry. I think Brees Hall is definitely going to be a guy we look back and are kicking ourselves for not drafting him.
Yeah. One of those, at one time he was relevant and you think he's done, but he still got it in him. All right, next game. I know we got a few more left, but I wanted to just throw these quick things out there. It's Giants Commanders. Giants cheeks. Malik Neighbors guys targets, but didn't really produce. But listen, Ja'Cory Cross Key Merritt. I had to.
Bill,
I was down on this guy low key last podcast, but 10 carries for 82 yards and a touchdown. My bad, bro. Let me take a step back. Austin Eckler is the second back. That's on me. But another thing that I noticed, obviously, Jane Daniels is going to be great all season. Played well. Top some of the top quarterbacks in this week. but did not expect Debo Samuel to be their leading guy. This is definitely like if you drafted Terry McLaurin, you're kind of upset because 4 targets for a guy that you probably drafted high. I mean, it's like what the heck. But Debo, man, 10 targets, and obviously he's going to get work in the run game, which is huge. But that's where he got his touchdown. But 10 targets is huge. How do you feel about that Debo Samuel, Terry McLaurin difference there?
No, it was definitely surprising. I think a trend that we saw from last year, Brandon Ayuk held out on his contract similar to what McLaurin did, and then they both came back. Ayuk looked bad and then got hurt. Now we have McLaurin coming back, missing most of training camp, and he looks bad. So I think he'll be fine full season as long as he stays healthy. But I think we talked about it last podcast. Debo had value with how late he was going. And if he's going to have this type of utilization, he's going to be great. I mean, he's rushing the ball just like he did. He had 1 carry for 19 yards. I expect him to have a few more. And then in the passing game, he caught 7 for 77, and he's going to be used in the red zone as well. So I would be super ecstatic if I took Debo late in drafts. I think you got a huge value there. And like you're talking about with old Bill, he looked like their best running back. I think he's going to be their number one running back. It was really surprising. It ended up being Rodriguez. We kind of expected him to have the goal line work. He ended up being a healthy scratch. They basically they didn't put him on the 53, which
Yeah,
none of us were expecting. It looks like he's going to be irrelevant, so it'll just be McNichols, Eckler, and Bill.
yeah.
Eckler is definitely the two. He's going to be involved in the passing game, but it looks like Bill is going to have the majority of the rushing attack, which is, I mean, if you had the trust in him, that's great to see.
Yeah, and he ran well. Like it wasn't like these small runs. You're like, oh man, he's
No,
got some.
he looked good.
Yeah, it was he was just out there dogging them. Uh, 49ers Seahawks. It wasn't really a good game. JSN though. Uh,
Baller.
yeah, come on. Zach Charbonnet though. This is something I guess we should highlight, which was kind of interesting. Zach Charbonnet was above Kenneth Walker really in usage. It was kind of 50-50, obviously, but I mean, after his production last year, in terms of when Kenneth Walker was out, the dude balled out. How can you not, as a coach, play him more? And so that's something interesting to look at with Kenneth Walker, seeing them split. But your Cooper Cup, I mean, come on, well, that just sucks. 3 targets. Real quick, how do you feel about that? Because I know you're a big JSN advocate.
Yeah, I'm big on JSN. He had the lion's share of this offense on as far as the passing game goes. I think he had 124 yards. Sam Darnold threw for 150. So he had like 80% of their work on the passing game. So I think he's going to be phenomenal. Like you were talking about with the running backs, I think it's going to be a pretty 50-50. Now, not overreacting. They could just be bringing back Kenneth Walker slowly just because of how injury prone he is. But it could also be that Zach Charbonnet just looks better in this offense, which we
Yeah.
kind of saw last year. He had huge success when it was just him. And it could be that they're just going to roll with Charbonnet and either trade Walker or just keep it kind of a split backfield like it is. So if you have Charbonnet, I'd be happy. If you had Walker, I'd be pretty disappointed. But as like you said with Cup, this might be an overreaction, but I think he's borderline droppable. He he played a very
Wow.
bad game. I know it's tough to say with how good he's been for fantasy, but he had a terrible game. He didn't look that good. He didn't look like the same old Cooper Cup. And with these receivers that are on the waiver wire, I would not feel bad about picking up Cedric Tillman instead of Cooper Cup or one of these tight ends that we've mentioned. I wouldn't be scared to drop him with his age, his injuries. He's going to get hurt if he keeps playing. So I think I would drop him honestly.
You wouldn't try to trade low?
No, no one's gonna trade for him.
Dude,
A
listen.
three
Bump.
target, 2 catch. No one's trading for him.
Maybe he comes back. It could just be a one-game fluke. I don't know.
Are you expecting him to come back?
No.
Yeah,
But you never know. Yeah, that's crazy though. That's the part of the football that is insane.
I know it is. I think he's past his prime, which it sucks to see
Yeah.
because we loved watching him in the Rams, but I think it's just he's past the expiration date.
if he balls out next week and people dropped him, Matt, oh my
I'll
god,
eat my words, but
we'll
you're
see.
you're you're telling me you wouldn't pick up Hollywood Brown, Cedric Tillman, Booty, just one of these guys rather than have an aging Cooper Cup that's injury prone?
I'd give it one more week, and then well, but you miss out. You'd miss out on the guys that are out there. I understand.
Yeah, they're going
You
to be
gotta take
gone.
risks. You gotta take risks. You have a point, so why not take risks? Yeah, yeah. Why not? Go for it. You're right. I just it hurts my heart to agree with that
I
because
know
Cooper Cup.
he's a great guy, but we can't
Mm.
think about his personality rather than his play, and his play was terrible.
R.I.P. to Cooper Cup.
Rest
That's
in peace,
crazy.
Cooper.
The Packers. I mean, we won't dive into the fantasy side of this. Packers look freaking good in terms of their defense. Man, how stupid are the Cowboys? The Packers look kind of dangerous this year. I mean, their offense, Jordan Love, 16, 22, one of the greatest, threw 2 touchdowns. But, dude, their defense squashed this Lions, which sucked in terms of, I mean, I had Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then your second guy is Isaac Tesla. Psst, disgusting. Just from one, I mean, a Razorback out
Woo
there.
pig, baby.
Bro, come on. But, yeah, that was a crazy game. Texans didn't look that great at all. Rams also didn't look that great. Had some underwhelming games, really. But Puka Nakua, he's the guy out there. Devontae Adams, you're upset with him a little bit. Last 2 games here. Ravens, Bills.
Crazy.
Everybody
Just
ball out, okay?
crazy.
Start them all. Start the team, except for Mark Andrews. Dalton Kincaid got his. Even like Josh Palmer, dude. What the heck? You could have started anybody almost on this team, and you'd have been happy. DeAndre Hopkins, even. It's like, this
I,
guy's
d-
still out there.
I will say I think it's good to see that Coleman is going to he took the second year jump based on this last game. He
Yeah.
had the injury scare with his groin in training camp, but it looks like he's fine. He's going to be heavily targeted in the red zone. So if you got Keon in the late rounds of the draft, I would be ecstatic. Um, and the only thing I'll mention on the Ravens side, the players played like you expected them to, with the exception of Mark Andrews. That could be a weird game one fluke. I doubt it. I'm pretty out on Mark at this point. I've tried to trade him all off season. No one will take him. But one thing I will mention is don't forget about Isaiah Likely. If he's on your waiver wire, I might take a risk and just pick him up because
Okay.
he's so talented. And when he's healthy, I think he's just going to completely erase Mark Andrews from the offense. So I think Isaiah Likely is going to be pretty valuable as the season goes on once he comes back.
Not so much a hot take, but I honestly I agree with you. And then last game, I know we jumped across a few to save some time here, but JJ McCarthy, baby. I'm hyped for this man.
Went from terrible to pretty impressive.
At first I looked at the stats and I was like, "Yo, you gotta be kidding me! This guy's buns."
Dude,
Can't
that
even
was
get
the
done.
worst. That was the worst game to watch. At halftime, they had 6 points. It was like 17-6. It was an embarrassing game to watch.
Yeah,
And then he turned into a different player.
he just needed that halftime speech. The dude literally balled out. But I know I said this earlier. Jordan Mason had 15 carries to Aaron Jones 8. You, come on, look at the usage here. Jordan Mason's the guy. At least from this game script. First things first. I know Aaron Jones had more fantasy points, but it's because of a touchdown, and he had 3 catches for 44 yards. So I mean, that's not going to happen all the time. That's really not Aaron Jones' game, anyways. Well, I mean, how do you feel about that?
I think you're right. I think it's going to be pretty split in the backfield. I I think Aaron Jones is going to be more involved in the passing game, but that's just because Jordan Mason, he's not a he doesn't catch the ball. He didn't do it with the 49ers. He's probably not going to do it with the Vikings either. So I think you saw on that last drive they trusted Aaron Jones to come in so he can do the passing game work. So I think that was good to see. If you drafted Aaron Jones, he's going to be involved in the passing game, which helps because he still looks like he's got some juice, but Jordan Mason's obviously the better rusher. So I think these are going to be guys. This is going to be kind of like a nerfed Lions backfield. It's not as good by any means, but I think you're going to be able to play both of them in your flex spot. So I'd be
Yeah.
happy with that.
Especially if JJ McCarthy's slanging that thing, son. Justin
Yeah,
Jefferson.
but it was against the Bears, so I don't want to overreact. But the
Right.
second half, he looked pretty good. And
They
if
do have
he
a good defense.
rushes, if he has the rushing ability too, like he had on the long touchdown, I I would be pretty excited about JJ if I'm a Vikings fan.
Oh, yeah. No, I completely agree. Caleb
The
Williams looked
Bears,
good as well.
oh my gosh, he started off 10 for 10 and ended the game 21 for 35.
Yeah.
I I don't know. He obviously had a good script for the beginning of the game. He executed it well. I was like, oh my gosh, Caleb's coming in. He's the player we thought he was, and then it just took a bad downhill turn.
Yeah.
So I don't want to over. The Vikings have a legit top five defense,
Yeah.
so I don't want to pile on Caleb too bad. But starting the way he did and then ending 21 of 35, it's pretty. It's a pretty bad look for sure.
That is true. But he also did run well, which you kind of.
Oh, one thing, DeAndre Swift, he's I thought they were going to mix in some Roshan Johnson, maybe the rookie Kyle Monange. Yeah, I mean Swift was the backfield. He looks I knew this was I expected this to happen and I still didn't draft Swift just because I don't think he's that talented, but
Hey,
he got I know you
be
like him.
careful, man.
Yeah, I know, but I think we can both admit we didn't expect great things from him.
Right, right.
Um, but I mean, he if he gets this amount of work and he's the only one there involving, he's going to be a good player this year.
Yeah, especially if he then get close to the goal line and get some touchdowns. And I mean, he's always been pretty decent at catching the ball and moving that around too. Good running back. But so hopefully that pans out. Well, no, we went a little long today, but who cares? It's week one of NFL football. Some people had some good days for fantasy, others not so much. But we'll see next week. Hopefully, we'll probably be here again Tuesday, I'm assuming, of next week. We'll be back talking about week two, your next hot takes, what's going on, people to pick up. Matt, what's the closing statement you got for us as we jump off here?
If you lost week one like I did, don't lose faith. It's just week one. On the bright side, we have waiver priority, so we can pick up these players we've been talking about. It's just I wouldn't overreact or get too down in the dumps. It's easy to do in fantasy. Just keep the road going, and we can do it. We can come back. I'm trying to keep positive.
What a motivational speech for those that lost in week one. There is a positive. You get the first pick. So go pick those waivers. We will see you again next week. And thank you for joining Takeology. Stay blessed out there.
Peace.